We're joined on News Across Nigeria by the Director, Center for Infectious Diseases Research, Bayero University, Kano, Professor Sadeeq Abubakar. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, Professor, it's not strange for health workers to come in contact with some of these diseases, but what's really odd about this particular case concerning these doctors that have died is the fact that they just got in contact with the person barely 48 hours and they were declared dead. What could have gone wrong?
No, actually, they didn't come in contact with the patient 48 hours before their death. The actual story is that a woman was admitted into Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital with pregnancy that was almost term on the 31st of December 2019. And then the following day, she died with her pregnancy, and the fetus also died. Then it took some days, up to like 16 days, before the first victim, who was a house officer in the hospital that assisted in the surgery, died. And then 4 days after, this anesthetist died, specifically on the 20th of January. So there was a gap of like 16 to 20 days before they have died. So it is just in line with the typical picture that one expects if it is Lassa fever, because it has an incubation period of between 2 to 21 days, within which a person who has come into contact with the disease will develop his or her own disease and probably die within those days or a little bit after, if the disease is not treated and it takes the severe dimension.
Prof, it's important you had to clear that air because those were the initial reports we're getting. Now, it was Specialist Teaching Hospital in Edo State is known as the go-to place for testing for the samples of Lassa fever, but the government has established more testing centers across the country. Why would a state like Kano have to go all the way to Edo State when there is Abuja has been established by the National Center for Disease Control?
I think at this point I need to clear a lot of things. One of the things that I need to clear is the fact that the blood sample was taken to Gadua in Abuja, not Irua Teaching Hospital. That is where the test was conducted. I'm saying this with authority because I am part of the Teaching Hospitals EPR Committee, that's Emergency Preparedness and Response Committee, and I am a member of the State Committee, which is a larger committee. And I know that the blood sample was taken to Abuja, not Irua. And then again, what you asked me to clarify is the fact that with all sense of assurance, I know that this woman was admitted in the hospital on 31st, and then she died the following day. And we have not heard of anything to suggest that any of our staff, because I am also a staff of Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, and in fact, a neighbor to the deceased Dr. Habib Musa. So I know the very day he died, because we were the first set of people that had to go to see the corpse that same day on 20th, and then we participated in the burial. So I'm so sure that the gap between the said contact with the index case and the death of the first victim, that is Dr. Kulsum, the house officer who assisted in the surgery, took up to over 2 weeks, and then his own death came on 20th. And it was his death that actually led us to start thinking, because there was the main surgeon, the gynecologist who operated on the woman, was still alive, but he was sick and admitted in the teaching hospital. When the doctors went to see him that day, his fever was not responding to the normal conventional treatment, and the greater history was taken, which indicated that there was some similarity between his illness and that of the initial doctor that died, who at the first instance, it was thought that she died of diabetic ketoacidosis because she was a non-diabetic that was on insulin. And that's what was very tricky to the doctors that were managing her. But then, with the benefit of hindsight, all these pictures were tied together with the death of Dr. Habib. Then the story started becoming out clearly that they were involved in performing surgeries, or she was managed by a team of doctors that participated in managing her. And so it became clear that probably that this patient died of Lassa fever. And so a lot of, yes.
I'm so sorry, Prof. We had to interrupt that because of time. Professor Sadeeq Abubakar is the Director, Center for Infectious Diseases Research. He's brought all the clarifications based on the initial reports we got from the death of the two doctors in Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us on the program.